Welcome to another How to Adult, no matter your age. I'm Denise O'Malley, the founder of You Define Wellness. And today what we're going to be talking about is we're going to learn how to understand your money before you start making serious financial decisions. And today I've got your money expert, Natalie Essman, with me. Natalie, thank you very much for being with me today.
Thank you, Denise. I'm happy to be here, excited. It seems like it's been too long since we've spent time together. So I'm really grateful. Thank you for having me.
You know, it hasn't really been that long because you're the host of the Better Your Business show, and I was just on it just before Christmas, so it wasn't that long ago.
I don't usually not talk to you for 2 weeks.
I know. I've been having Natalie withdrawals, so I'm so excited to have you here today. So you are the money expert, and you approached me with this topic of understanding the basics of money before you start making some financial decisions. And after this, Christmas and 2022 and all the years before it that we've had recently, tell me what you're talking about.
So really, I wanted to talk about really getting back to the basics of money. When I had seen your series on how to adult, I thought it was so funny. You had that, I think it was your son had gone to you to teach him how to grocery shop. I think
yes,
right, was the
yes.
first you had done. And I had just had a similar experience with my son. And I said, I'm such a bad mom. And he was like, what do you mean? And I go, well, I feel like there's so much I didn't teach you. I just took for granted that you were kind of learning along the way. And being said, I think a lot of times we do learn our habits about money from our parents. So if we are subconsciously learning them, hopefully they're good habits, right? But we do always need to get back to the basics, because anytime, like if you look at my shirt here, my shirt says, peace of mind is the best interest rate. So
I like that.
Yeah, thank you. And I couldn't agree more. So when we understand the basics of money, we can create that peace of mind in our life. We have that sense of, control, but we understand what we're doing, why we're intentional with it, I should say. And if something doesn't kind of work out in that little recipe that we're using, we know we just need to get back to our recipe of what works when it comes to our finances. And so you really just have to have a nice foundation with that, because once you have that in place, we almost go into autopilot. It's like driving, right? You understand how your money comes in and out. Then you can move on to bigger and better things. But if you don't know how to budget, if you don't know how to stay out of debt, do your checkbook, those things, you'll never really get to adult, right? Or someone else is partially adulting for you.
The first thing is where the money goes in, and that's your checking account. And I will be the first to admit I don't balance my checking account every single month. I do look to see what the charges are that are going through and make sure that they're valid. But I don't know how many people do that anymore with the electronic banking and the apps and everything else going on. And there's so many people who, judge their worth by how much money they have in their checking account when they go to the ATM. So where do you start?
Well, I do think that you start with looking at your money, because, awareness is the first step to change. So really being intentional with where you're spending it. So I like to look at, and I think that part of it when it comes to your finances is doing what's convenient for you and your system and your way of doing that, right? If you're a tech person that likes to have apps on your phone, set up something on your phone that way. But when I first started budgeting and being intentional with my finances, I literally had a paper calendar that I just kept with me at all times. And I even had a piece of paper taped by my phone, because I needed to just constantly, that's when we still had phones on the walls, Denise.
Right.
I wanted to see where I was spending my money. I needed to know what were the changes I need to make. So I'd say first and foremost is knowing what your net income coming in every month is. I remember my son got his first job. He swore, even though, right, we talk about this as a family money, he was convinced the government had stolen money from him. I'm like, they are, honey.
My kid had the same response.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
This isn't right.
Yeah. Adulting. And then, okay, you have your net income, what are you doing with that? What percentage are you putting where? What are you doing with that? Are you able to cover your expenses every month? Save that way that you want to, have your emergency fund, things like that in place as you're building your financial household. It has to start there. Like if we were building a house, you build the frame of the house first, right? So you really, that budget starts with that. How much is coming in, and then where are you allocating it? How are you spending it?
Yeah, and I think looking at those expenses is a really good thing. I mean, I'm just going to share a quick story and then we'll go into the next part of this. The basics is that I had an employee one time who was wanting a raise. I was already paying her above market rates. And she was like, well, I just need a raise. I need more money. And I'm looking at her going, okay, twice a day while you're at work, you're walking across the street to Starbucks and getting a $6 drink. That's twice a day. $12 a day times 5 days a week times 4 weeks in the month, roughly. And it's like, would that be enough of a raise that you had? Oh yeah, it'd be great. Stop drinking the Starbucks. Drink the free Folgers in the break room, for crying out loud. So we have to look at where it is that we're spending our money that way. So give us another tip.
So I think another tip would be, once you have that, then what's next? I think that everybody, and if we're going back to, this is in my mind, our audience right now, usually who's going to be listening to this is going to be people, early 20s, right? I'm sure they're all ages, but early 20s, yes. I know is kind of who we were going towards. So making sure you have life insurance and living benefits in place, I think is important. There's lots of different schools of thought on that. But what I know is that growing old is a privilege. If you look at statistics, you will need a life insurance product, a living benefits product. And I think that leveraging someone else's money and paying the least amount on leveraging that money is crucial for you. So you're young, you're healthy, you keep your costs as low as you can, you're protected. You don't have to worry about it, right? Your asset, your income, you as the machine of making money is protected. Something happens to you where your income is gone, it will still bring in your income. Or if you get sick and you need extra money because of getting sick, Denise, you and I have talked about this. 2 out of every male will have cancer in their lifetime. Sorry, 1 out of every 2 males, 1 out of every 3 females. Every 40 seconds, someone has a stroke. We saw that gentleman playing football just last week. 24 years old, had a heart attack on the field. So protecting that, I think, is one of the biggest things, is getting that done and out of the way so you don't have to think about it, making sure that protection is there.
Now, I understand what you mean by living benefits, but those watching this video may not. What are we talking about when you're saying living benefits?
So there are different types of living benefits when it comes to your life insurance policy. So even if your policy says living benefits, really what you're looking for is that if you have financial concerns that aren't covered by your health insurance, it will pay out for you. If you're going through cancer treatment and you need 6 months of work, you can use your life insurance policy now to pay for those things. People say, does it have to be a permanent policy or a cash value policy? No, term policies do that as well. It's just a component to your policy where you can use some of that death benefit now if you qualify because of sickness.
Okay, so that's a really good thing. And a lot of people in their 20s, really aren't, well, a lot of people in their 40s really aren't thinking about having life insurance in place. And you and I have talked about this. I was a life insurance agent for a number of years. I've worked in the life insurance industry for a lot of years. And I can tell you that the time, and let's face it, life insurance agents typically have a bad rap, right? They're just one step above used car salesmen in a lot of people's minds. But you know what? I've delivered death benefits to young families. And if it wasn't for that check, they wouldn't have been able to do anything. That's when I realized what it was that I was really doing. And that my job was not just hawking insurance. It was saving families. And that's really an important thing to be thinking about when you're young, because it's cheaper. When you're young and healthy, it's way cheaper than it is when you're old and decrepit. So you want to make sure that you are paying attention to that and talking to a really good advisor who can help walk you through that.
Yeah, even just, coming out of COVID, my husband and his 2 boys coming out of, had COVID. And his youngest, he is 31, is still on oxygen. It's been over a year. He's still in an oxygen tank. That is an example where now he's at home and doesn't have a lot of expenses. So we decided not to draw on his living benefits. But if he had a family or if he was completely on his own, he could draw on that because he obviously can't work right now on an oxygen tank, right? And at that age, if it wasn't for me, I'm sure he wouldn't have been thinking of those things, right? But his dad, no, you guys are all getting protected, but in my personal life too, I've just had so much experience of people that have passed young. I mean, I've for suicide, passed because of illnesses, gone through long years where there's a lot of significant. So I've just seen so many different examples that I'm just going to always be a huge advocate for. Just get it out of the way. We all pass away. So at some point you're going to use it. Get it out of the way, get it while you're young and healthy so it's cheap.
Now, another tip that you haven't said yet, but I can see it coming, is paying yourself first.
Yes, paying yourself first. Thank you. So compound interest, rule of 72. Look that up, but absolutely the first person you should be paying every month is you. I say set it and forget it. Put it on an automate. Have money for yourself set up for emergencies. Something that I like to do for fun is I like to go into one of the accounts where you can kind of mix up the money and intentional spending, right? Giving it purpose, breaking it up, right? Preparing for other things in that so that it gets me excited about saving it. So that's a little tip too, right? Like if you knew you're going on vacation in a couple of months, you could have a little yacht fund you put, $20 bucks a month into or something like that, right? So there's little things where you can break it up, but absolutely paying yourself first, because money will be there for you when you need it. And life happens, right? We go through different cycles in life and we need an emergency fund period. So making sure there's the most important person you pay every month is you. Number one. Absolutely. Thank you.
Now, there's going to be people who say, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I can't do this. What do you say?
I would say, have you had somebody look through your finances to confirm if that's true? If that's the case, well, I would ask, what do you want? To me, I would think, okay, well, you need to make extra income, right? How do you want to make that? What do you want to do differently to create extra income for yourself? Because if people are really that strapped, and some people are, something differently has to be done. Sometimes it's just, you need to make more money. So what does that look like for you? How do you want to do that?
Yeah.
And to be honest, there's a lot of, it's not hard to make extra money on the side.
Yeah. And some people will be saying, you're full of it. No, you need to talk to somebody who is saying that and say, what do you mean? Because there's only really two solutions. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, increase your income or decrease your expenses. And that decreasing expenses may be getting a roommate, if that's something that you need to do.
I had some clients that were teachers. They made a combined $50,000 a year. They lived very modestly. They paid themselves first. They had a great financial portfolio, and you never, ever, ever would have guessed it. And the reason why is because they paid themselves first. And so it's just exactly what you said, Denise. It's either you're going to choose to live below your means and save some, or if that's just not a possibility, then you need to increase your income, upgrade your standards, raise your standards.
Another tip that you have, then then I have a final question for you.
My final tip would be, make sure you have that foundation in place before you start looking at other types of investments. Make sure again that you just have that solid foundation done. Then you can expand from that. But if you don't have that foundation in place, it's not going to work. So part of that means that whoever is your financial professional needs to have conversations with the other people doing your finances. If I was building a house, I would still be having conversations with the plumber. I'd still be having conversations with the electrician, right? They're all communicating and building that house together. Whoever's doing your finances, if you have HR through your job, an insurance person over here, whatever, these people need to be talking to each other and working on your finances together. It all goes hand in hand.
Okay, that's really hard to do from the HR,
to say, HR perspective it is, but they should know what your financial person should know what's going on with your 401k, even though it's not through them.
And what benefits are available to you.
Yes.
Because there may be benefits available to you through your work that you're not taking advantage of. And for crying out loud, if your employer is providing a 401k and they're going to match your contributions, that's free money. You got to take advantage of it.
You just double down, people. Double down.
Yeah. You never know when you're going to need to tap into that money in the future. Yeah, you're doing it for retirement, but I can tell you that I tapped into it when I adopted a child. And it's like, thank goodness we had that money. Otherwise, it would have been a real financial bear on that. So this is all great advice. And really what you're emphasizing is that you need to have experts to help you. And whether some people may feel embarrassed that they're afraid to go and lay out everything for a financial advisor. Good financial advisor, that's what their job is to get you out of that embarrassment and help you achieve your goals. How do they find someone to help them like you're recommending, other than you? Because we're going to talk about you.
So, well, I think it depends on your circle, right? Obviously, I think the biggest is there someone that's in your circle that you trust that can give you good financial advice. If you're just kind of on the market looking for somebody, I think that you need to date and make sure this is someone that you want to have a long-term relationship with. If you're looking for someone to, you know, bounce ideas off, have a relationship with, you know, have that type of person in your circle, have that type of association. So as you're growing, you should have many of them, really. We like to call it an advisory board or a board of advisors. An advisory board are the people around you that you can bounce ideas off of. Hopefully they know more than you or are living the life you want to. Like if I'm going to have need a conversation on like something with you define wellness, it's easy to go to Denise, right? I would consider you in that area. So having those people around you so you can have those types of conversations, I think is crucial so you can make the best decision for you. Because a lot of times people are saying products are good, products are bad, which creates fear. But the reality is every product was created for a reason and at some time was doing its job. So what is the product for you now?
Yeah. Now, you're based in California. Are you state restricted as to where the people you can help?
I am not state restricted. I'm nationwide.
Okay, so you'll want to make sure that you put your contact information in our Facebook Live here as well. And if you're watching this as a recording, go to our website, udefinewellness.com. You will find Natalie Essman on there as well. And so reach out to her because she can definitely help you out.
I'm going to drop a little gift for your audience too. I'm dropping my link tree, and it has a free downloadable budget journal on there for you guys as well. So anybody who watches today, you can go download a free budget journal to start.
Awesome. I'm going to copy
your basics.
I'm going to copy and paste that onto the Facebook Live that we are doing so that we have that on there. So Natalie, any final thoughts and words of wisdom that you want to share?
Just get out there, be curious, start learning. No one's going to care more about your money than you. That's just the bottom line. And if you want to have, peace of mind is the best interest rate if you want to do a great job for yourself. And I think thinking about your legacy, have it be important enough to you that you have peace of mind and you're able to teach your kids that. Just start. I think the important thing is just to start educating yourself and applying.
Words of wisdom. Natalie, thank you as always for being one of our guest experts. Yes, for being our guest expert on helping us understand the basics before you make any financial decisions out there. And for everybody watching this, thank you for joining us today. We hope to see you on another one of our How to Adult series.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.